Good afternoon to all the viewers from Body, Mind, Soul Live Talk number 85 tonight, today, and this afternoon. What am I doing? We are going to have creations and numerology. And if you are someone who is very much into numerology and wanted to know more, it's time to join us and hop on to us. And then, you know what, we will have a specialist to share with us a different type of numerology that we going to discuss later. So I think the first question to all the audience is, for you, do you feel there is a difference or it's the same to you when it comes to creations and manifestation? So what is the difference? And then the second question is, do you know what life cycle are you in currently or this year? And it's a little bit when we had discussion with our guest to this afternoon, which is Nadine, all the way from South Africa. It's a little different from the conventional numerology that we kind of know. Okay, so if you want to find out more, do stay with us because we are going to dive in a little deeper. And again, numerology is a broad subject, so let's have some fun later. Okay, we're gonna have some activities together. So yeah, so let me know how are you and where are you tuning in from. And I wish to share with you a little bit about the upcoming workshop that is happening in the next Sunday, 27th of March at 4 to 6 p.m. And it's a free online self-development workshop for Body, Mind, Soul community members. And then, of course, it is free and open to public for everyone. The difference is if you are the community member, you are the seats are a priority to you. Okay, so it's open to everyone. And who is going to conduct this wisdom of love from within? It is none other than our last week live talk guest, Mr. Michael Wong. He shared a lot of wisdom last week in that 1 hour plus live talk, how he practiced his daily wisdom of love in his daily life. And if you have not heard what happened last week, I urge you to go and have a listen because love is really not just we think or how I think personally. It's truly, truly much more than that. And it kind of shown and demonstrated from Michael last week. And I hope you will get a little bit inspiration from what he had shared last week with all our audience. And of course, he will definitely dive in a little deeper on next Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. And all our workshop is conducted via Zoom. So you can attend it comfortably from anywhere that you wish to go on or you wish to, learn or even improve yourself. Of course, I also wish to let you know what is Body, Mind, Soul Community. Basically, it's a platform that we created to support all those who have been seeking to grow, who have been wanting to become a better version, who wants to have more information, more content, who wants to be impact positively. This is where you can be. Just join us at Body, Mind, Soul Community, and it's a free sign up, first of all. And what's best is you have the entire Body, Mind, Soul volumes collection free for you. Okay, from volume 1 up to our latest volume, volume 31, it is all free for you to read digital copy. Okay, so if you have not, this is where. And of course, occasionally we have other activities that we will also share with our community members first. So let me see who is here with us already. Let's see. Ellen is already in. Hi, Ellen. So you really make it for TGSI, yeah? Thank God it's Saturday. Okay, so great to have activities. Numbers are surrounding us, how it affects us, like our IC number, car plate, mobile phones. Okay, so you are one of those who are very much into numbers, yeah? I must confess, I'm not those that are very much into numbers. So are we all ready to do some calculation and find out more? But before that, of course, I have to invite the most beautiful Nadine, all the way from South Africa, who has actually contributed a series of articles last year. All our 4 volumes, you can actually read her article because she has actually given us some tips about how we can, connect with goddesses and connect with goddesses energy to create a better life as well. And her upcoming, I would say her upcoming article in our April volume, it is all about the energy of our seasons. Of course, let's warm your palms up. Let's welcome Nadine Rosin, spiritual mentor as well as advisor, to join me this afternoon. Hello, Nadine,
Good
all the way from South Africa.
morning. Well, I'm
Good
saying good
morning over there.
morning, but good afternoon, and we'll also say good evening for whoever's in that time zone. Lovely to see you,
Yes.
Christina.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's always lovely to have you joining us today. Nadine, let's go straight to the point because we have audience who are ready to do the calculation, who is sharing with me. I'm bad in calculating. You know what, Johnny? You are not the only one because I am bad too. That is why we have technology to help us. It's called the mobile phone or it's called the calculator. Okay. So don't worry, we can do this together and we will give you ample of time to make sure you get your number correct. Okay. So
Very simple.
our admin, yeah, Nadine, I'm going to crack a joke. Our admin at the back is sharing with me, use our fingers also will do. So go back to basic, all right? So for those who are, I literally have to use finger. That day, my mom just told me 7 plus 3 is not what you say. So oh, no, no. I think it was 9 minus 3. And I was like saying 7, isn't it? Then she told me, no, it's 6. I'm like, oh yeah, it's 6.
Well, the good news is this isn't about maths. This is about the consciousness of numbers, and so that's the good news.
All right, so let us go into it. So we also, before we start, really dive in. I want to invite and encourage, all the audience to share out this live talk so that we can benefit more people, and especially those who are very much into numerology as well and wanted to know more. This might be giving them a different perspective. That's one. Number two, we want to invite all of you, if you have any questions, to type it on the comment segment so that if time permits, we will actually invite Nadine to answer all the questions. Okay, so I think we will start off with the first question, which is not truly in our discussion, Nadine. What is the
I know.
consciousness of numbers before we
Okay.
go into creations or manifestations?
So, most of us, and thank you for the curveball, Christina, first of all. So, the, numbers, every time I work with numbers, everyone would just look, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6.
6.
That,
Yes,
that,
I make
that
sure
is,
I
you got
answer
it right.
correctly.
You got it right. It's so ingrained in our conditioning how we were raised with numbers. They're factual, and yes, they're practical, and it is what it is, right? And yet, the consciousness of the number is what is so beautiful when one starts to study and go deeper into the numerology and into the codes and the sacred geometry of life. Now, I'm no mathematician, I am no expert in that field, but when you do start going into the sacred geometry of just our whole world is made up of numbers and patterns. I'm not here
Wow.
to discuss that with you. If you just look at the perfection of a rose, of a flower, of a whole tree, you can
Hmm.
break that down into patterns and numbers. So it's quite fascinating when you
Wow.
start to look at the natural world and bring it into our physical consciousness. So I
Wow.
think this will become clearer as we get into the discussion.
Okay, so I have a comment over here. Thank you, Nadine. But I have a comment. No one are bad. No one is bad in calculation, especially for money. I like that. Anyway, we are not going to go there. But Nadine, I think for a start, I really wish to understand from your personal view. What is creations and what is manifestation? Is there a difference, or is actually the same?
So, in my experience, there is a difference. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure many people a few years ago, the word manifestation came into our consciousness and the law of attraction, and everyone was very much, you visualize, visualize, and manifest, manifest. And yet I feel there are so many people who aren't or weren't able to just manifest the new car or the new job or the new boyfriend. And so I had to, myself included, and it could get very frustrating. And so I had to go deeper into why are things not manifesting. And when you take a step back and sink deeper, you actually have to go into a place of creation, which is almost working from your consciousness, which is the feminine aspect, whereas your manifestation is your more masculine result. You get a physical result in a manifestation, right? So you want a blue car, you want a blue car, you want a blue car, you want a blue car. All of a sudden you start seeing blue cars on the road. All of a sudden you start seeing blue cars come up on your Facebook, and for no particular reason. But are you actually able to walk into the dealership and buy the blue car? Do you actually have the resources? Do you think a rich relative is going to just drop it in your driveway for free? Like, what is that process about? So it's much deeper. And that's where creation is bringing something into existence. But to manifest it, it has to be possible within the realm of possibility, within the realm of creation. So if you do not have the finances to buy the blue car, and there's no rich relative who's going to leave you a blue car in your driveway, then what within your realm of possibility, if you don't have the finances to buy the blue car, you probably will not manifest the blue car. And so in that sense, there is a difference between the creation of something, bringing it in from your consciousness, and the manifesting the result in the physical, and what do you receive?
Wow, I hope everyone got it and managed to digest this, because this is quite a deep thing that we are talking about, you know. It
It
can go
is.
in deeper and deeper and deeper and sink into it to feel the energy of creations or the differences of creations and
So
manifestations.
can I give you another example that might help the
Yes,
viewers? So for instance, if you want a baby, or you're having a baby, so the baby comes from a place of creation, right? You want to manifest the
yes.
baby, but you create the baby and it manifests 9 months later. That's the physical result of your creation. It's not the result of a
Mm,
manifestation. You see, so things happen as a result of you creating. And creation is actually easy. It's actually effortless. We create every day without knowing it. Whereas manifesting, you're sitting there and you're going, I want a blue car, I want a blue car, I want a blue car, or I want a baby, I want a baby, I want a baby. But without
but you are not
creating,
creating it. You will never
correct.
get the
Correct.
baby.
You're focusing on the end result, but you're not doing the conscious, energetic work of the creation. So just think of, you know what it takes to make the baby. That's creating the baby. You got to do that work, and then the manifestation. So maybe that makes it a
So
little
can
bit easier.
So can we say, kind of like in your view, yeah, in your view, it's about you starts with creations and then comes with actions, and that's where you manage to manifest the outcome of the creations, right? So, and you
Correct.
mentioned that, and it comes with the consciousness as well, you know, like with the consciousness and creation. So, what exactly do you mean with this?
So, and it's interesting that it even like lines up if you need to remember it. So your creation comes from your consciousness, from that place, which is whatever you call it, your higher self, your God self, from the divinity, from the universe, from the God mind, whatever you call that place. You are the creator and the creation. The same as that baby. That baby is growing into a creator. Its needs are met. It doesn't have to manifest being fed. It gives a cry and the mother just knows. It comes from, so the creation comes from consciousness. Manifesting comes from the mind. That's why it can be more difficult, because our minds are full of everything. Our minds are full all day long, and there's so many theories. You've got to focus for 8 seconds or 19 seconds, or and then you can get your manifestation. we can't even focus for 3 seconds on a Facebook page before we scroll on. Our attention span, I can't. Our attention span is really becoming more limited. And so when you're trying to manifest only from your mind, you get different signals, right? So I'll give you a good example, like someone who wants to find a boyfriend. I don't know why you want to find a boyfriend. They're not lost. You don't have to go looking. They're not lost. You don't have to find them. But you want to
I like
find
that. You don't have to find a boyfriend. They are
they're
not
not,
lost. This is the
nothing is
first time
lost.
a guest actually told us right in front, slap to the face, they are not lost. Why do you need to find them?
And this is true with most things. You don't need to find, you just need to create. And so let's say you're that person who keeps going from bad relationship to bad relationship, or you keep attracting unavailable partners. It's because you are manifesting the same creation. You are not changing the
Mm,
consciousness. You have to change the consciousness and create a different type. Some people, they just hop from relation to relation, and it's the same thing, and that's why our minds are full of our habits and conditioning and programming. And so we have to go past that to our consciousness, what is for our highest good, because sometimes we don't get what we want. And sometimes,
mm,
we feel like losers, like, well,
mm,
why can't I make this happen? Well, maybe it's
mm,
not for you. Maybe it's not in your consciousness. Maybe it's not your path. Maybe you're not in the right life cycle to create it. And that's why it's so important to actually go into the numerology. And these are the gifts it can give you, and help
mm.
you. If you're not in the right life cycle, if you're not in the right phase in your life, you won't create for the highest good. It won't work out. It will flop. It will fail. It will be so hard. You'll struggle, etc., etc.
And I like how you actually kind of tie it in, the influencing or the importance of how numerology can impact our life or us. Can they actually enhance our life if we know numerology
Absolutely,
better?
absolutely. You know, uh, how do you go? Say now you want to travel somewhere different. Like, let's say we're all going to Hawaii. Um, if you get on the plane and the pilot doesn't know how to get to Hawaii, it's really going to take a lifetime, isn't it? And maybe
Mm-hmm.
one day he'll just go, oh, there it is. We found it by luck. And you land 50 years later. We don't have time for that. We have to know ourselves. We have to get to know who we are and stop being so nosy about everyone else. We love being in other people's business, don't we? So much easier than getting into our own business, our own being of who we are. And so knowing our numbers helps support us, helps realize our potential, our purpose, our gifts, our talents. I've mentioned this several
Yes.
times. If you are trying to be a salesman, but you're actually more suited to be a caregiver, you will never align. You will just feel such an internal war and struggle, but the numbers can support you. And once you know yourself, then you can really flourish and prosper and thrive.
And I believe, this is one of the good thing that numbers or numerology can become a tools that gives
Mm.
us clarity or kind of like a directions in that sense. Of course, in the end, it is still up to us, the creator, to make a choice because we all have that free will, right? It's just knowing numbers, giving us a little extra support, a little extra skill to or tools to know ourselves better. And we have other questions that's coming in, and we welcome questions as well. So let's see whether what is Nadine says. Is it everyone have their own lucky number and how to find it?
So that's interesting, Alan. So I wouldn't call it lucky number, but I would say if you know your primary numbers, if you know your core number and you align with your core number, the essence of who you are, then your life is in alignment and you feel in alignment. So it wouldn't matter. And that naturally draws in luck, right? That naturally will draw in the right opportunities for you. So I would call it a more an alignment than a luck.
Wow. Okay. I like that. And I hope, Ellen, we have answered you. And Nadine, I think you did share with us, the importance or how numbers work with us, how consciousness work with us. And we are living on Earth. And in numerology, they are also saying the planetary or the Earth has its own life cycle as well. What is your points or what other wisdom that you wish to share with our audience about
Oh,
this,
yes,
the
thank you for
global
bringing that
consciousness?
up, the global consciousness. So that is, that's almost like what is the theme for the year? So the global consciousness is just our collective planetary theme for the year. It's the collective consciousness. And so this year we're in a cycle 6 for the earth. And it's very interesting. So our 6 is about actually harmony, balance, connecting, and bringing peace. And I think after the last 2 years that we've had since 2020, we definitely need some of that. And so what's very interesting, and I'm just going to touch on this. So we're in a 6. So when the coronavirus hit, we were in an earth year, a 4, right? That was a
Yes.
4. And the 4 is and the earth is about grounding. It grounded that coronavirus into our consciousness. Last year we went
Mm,
into a 5, which was an air, and that's how the virus spreads. And last year almost more damage was done, more
mm,
serious variants, right? And so then this year we're hoping that we're in a fire year. A 6 is a fire year. We're hoping that it burns out a little bit. And this 6 fire is very different, and I'll get to that later, to a 3 fire, just so everyone knows. This 6 fire is a slow burn, right? Things will burn slowly, but it's made up of a triple 2, 2022. So you go 2 plus 2 plus 2, everything comes down to a single digit. So it's made of triple water. Now that's quite stormy, violent. Think of great storms in the ocean. And what we see playing out right now with the Russia and Ukraine war, the reactive side of your 6th year is conflict. So we
mm.
want to bring in the harmony, but what we're
Yes, the
seeing
P.
is the conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's just gone with a bang. It started off quite, the year started off with that. And so you will see, and I'm praying and hoping that as the year moves on, we will be able to get to a place of negotiation and peacekeeping. Ultimately, that's what the
The
6
harmony.
brings, the harmony on a global level and in your own homes. So the key is compassion over conflict this year. Just take that and really try implement that um, in this year. Make that your theme for the whole year in whatever area you're struggling with.
Compassion over.
Conflict.
Okay, so if every one of us start practicing compassion among us, and that's where it can create a better harmony, surroundings for the people that is with us, our family, our workspace, and I believe that's how it has the ripple effects to also affect people and the environment and the greater environment that's outside of our
Abs-
circle.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing in a 6 year you can do, so volunteering, charity, give to those in need. It's a really good year for gatherings, for marriages. So if you want to, this is a good year to get married if the family is all talking. If there's 1 or 2 family members, make peace, then plan the marriage. It's a good year for births. It's all that beautiful, like, those big family dinners where you all love each other, but you also hate each other. And, it's all that good, juicy stuff. So, I mean, that plays out perfectly in our lives. So you can see on the global level, this devastating war, and in our own lives, when we're all sitting around the table at New Year, and you've got the 2 siblings who really are having a little fight, but are able then eventually to, give each other a hug at the end of the night. And
Mm,
that's how we
mm.
need to see this year play out.
Okay, that is beautiful. And I hope, this give a better insights to all our audience about the global consciousness and how things are going on. As long as we have an anchor compassion in our heart, in our beingness, in our attitude, everything that we do in our daily life, I'm sure we will reach to that balance, to the harmony, to the peace that is kind of like the number supposed to be in a way. If you have any questions, do send it in to us if you have any questions. And this is the time where we can start to use our fingers because we are going to go into the details a little bit of the numerology. I would say the way that Nadine is going to share with us is slightly different from the conventional numerology that we know. All right. So, shall we? Nadine, should we start going into the little
Sure.
bit about the human pin code that you're about to share with
Yes.
us? A little bit of the background before we go into it.
Sure. So, of course, there are many systems of numerology, just like in any toolbox. If we look at even astrology, there are many different systems and lanes.
Mm-hmm,
So, this differs a tiny bit. The founder of the human pin code is Douglas Forbes. So, he is a African. He lived in Africa for most of his life. He has a PhD in metaphysical sciences. And I think it was towards the early 90s, he had already done over about 25,000 case studies using
mm-hmm,
this formula and testing the accuracy of it against conventional numerology and even looking at astrology. So the interesting thing is he was so adamant, also a believer in astrology, but with astrology, if you don't know your exact time of birth, it's a problem. You really
yes.
can run into discrepancy. And so he wanted something much more accurate, much more precise. And so he came up with this, still based on the Phatic system, where you reduce all digits to one number. And so all
Mm-hmm,
the numbers here work in pairs. So you've got your 1 to 8, they pair up, your 1 and 5, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, 4 and 8, and then your 9 sits outside. So this is where the sacred geometry comes in, guys. So I'm not giving you a lesson in this. I'm just mentioning, just so your brain can start ticking a little bit. And then obviously, and not just in the system, but all numbers do relate to an element, a color, geometrical shapes. There are many, many layers. So today we're just going to look at your life cycle, but it's so much more complex. And this is just a quarter of the formula that we're going to give you today.
Okay, so let's hit it, everyone. Make sure you will share with us what is your number later. Okay, so I'll let Nadine to explain how do we do this. There are two steps, okay? So this is just the first step.
Okay, so your first step is really simple. You just need the day of your birth. So, whatever day you were born on, so the example here, let's say, is the 19th, or the birth date is the 19th of November. So, your day of birth. So, write that down or punch it into your phone right now. Okay, so as I said before, all numbers we reduce to one digit. So, it's just the 1 plus 9 equals 1. And this day of birth is your core personality. This is really your truest self. This is the self that you show to those closest to you. Your family will see you this way, your partners, those that you let into your inner circle will know who you are and identify with this part of you. So, this is your day of birth. Then you're going to add your month of birth, right? So whatever month that is, Christina, are you writing? I hope you're calculating there, huh? In your
I
mind.
am, I am,
Okay,
I
so
am,
then
I
your
am.
month of
With
birth.
my
So let's,
fingers.
yeah, just under the table. So there we have November. So your November is a double digit. So you bring it down and reduce to one digit. 1 plus 1 is 2. And this is your social self, your social consciousness. This means how people see you, what you're like in social situations, when you go to the grocery store, when you're with colleagues at work. You're not going to let them get too close and see that core unless over
Mm-hmm,
time. So if these numbers differ, there will be a slight difference in how people perceive you, which is what we go deeper in when we do sessions. So now we're going to add your day of birth plus your month of birth. So in this example, 1 plus 2, and you're going to get your inner self. So over here, it works out to a 3. Your inner self or your sense of self is how you see yourself. It's not how other people see you. So in this example, it would be very different how people see this person, how they really are, and how this person sees themselves. So here, so that is your sense of self, how you see yourself. So this is step 1, and all you're doing is getting to seeing your inner self.
Okay,
Everyone
should we
good?
go to the next step?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, step 2 is now how do we find your life cycle? So we take your inner self and we add it to the global consciousness. So remember, we're in the year 2022. We reduce that, the 2 plus 2 plus 2, we get our 6. That's how we get our global consciousness. We add it to our inner self, and so this person would be in a cycle, a life cycle 9. And it's as simple as that. I
Okay,
hope.
so I hope to have all the audience to also type in the number that you've gotten for your life cycle for this year, particularly after you add up the formula and you add up with 6 and then you reduce it. Of course, you add it up if it's a double digit and then you make it into one number because we only have number 1 to number 9, and type it out on the chat so that we will pick those who have typed it out first to actually share with you what is your current or this year life cycle going to be. But before that, while waiting for them to maybe tally up their numbers, okay, so we have questions and asking us, can we show the slides again? All right, so I'm going to show the slides again. So it's simple. First, you add up your day of birth and you reduce it into one digit, and then you add it up with your month of birth. Like for instance, for my case, it's 15. So my day of birth is 15, so it's going to be a 6, and my month of birth is 10, it's going to be a 1, so this will be 7. 7 for the sense of self and inner self. And we have that 7 plus that global consciousness, which is 2022, and number 6, and therefore it becomes a number 4 for me. And of course, day of birth is your core personality. Your month of birth is how people perceive you or how you behave in the social circle or in the social circle. That's what Nadine has mentioned. The sense of self is how you see yourself. Okay, so make sure that you get the number 4, the gray zone in this slide, which is the current life cycle. So you need to have your day of birth, you add it up, plus the month of birth, and you get a number for your sense of self or inner self. That's where your inner self number plus the global consciousness number, which is 6. That is very direct. And you will get your current life cycle. Okay. So we have quite a few over here. Let me see. If it's a 13, you need to add on the 1 plus 3 and equals to 4. So Johnny is having the same life cycle as mine as well. Okay, that's interesting. So let's see, 7 plus 6. Yeah, so you do the math for me lah. You already know it. 7 plus 6. Okay. So, but before we go into that, I just want to let the audience to have a little bit more time, to kind of
Sure.
get their numbers correct. So Nadine, the numbers are pretty much fixed because we have 1 to 9, and of course you have the 0. I'm not sure how 0 works, but how does these numbers carry different consciousness in that sense?
Gosh, okay, so each number does carry a different consciousness, but there are some similar pairs. So for instance, your 1 and your 5, those are your air elements. So in the PIN code, we bring in the elements. It's quite important because sometimes if you have air missing, a lot of, or sometimes as a child, if you have air missing, you probably might not be able to read very quickly. You might have struggles in communicating. It might take you longer to communicate because air is a mental, right? Everything is here with air. Air does a lot of communicating, a lot of talking. And so that child might be a little bit slower. And so if a parent has the consciousness to understand this, they're not going to get upset. They're not going to say, oh, you're stupid, or you're not going to have teachers, just making stupid remarks that really stay with children for a very long time. So if we understand that each number does have a consciousness and what it brings, I think it's quite valuable to know. So your 1 and 5 are your air, your 2 and your 7 are your water elements, your 3 and your 6 are fire elements, and your 4 and your 8 are earth elements. Your 9 is very interesting. Once again, this plays into the octagon theorem, which I'm not going to try and explain or pretend I know very much of, but that says the numbers work in pairs and your 9 sits outside. And yet, if you look at the sacred geometry, most geometrical shapes and formulas add up to the 9. So your 9 is both everything and nothing. And your 9 is your spirit element, your space, your metal, if you relate it to the Chinese astrology.
Okay, so this is quite a lot of information to digest. And for those who have further questions, and if let's say our time do not permit us to answer your question, we will definitely share Nadine's direct contact, or even how you can reach out to her to have a private session or private consultation with her, because again, numbers or numerology is a very personal journey, and I'm sure she will be able to ask you more questions. But today we are going to touch on the very generic surface, which is what we focus the current life cycle. So we have cycle 1 to 9. I want to ask Ellen, 9-6, what do you mean? 9-6, what do you mean by 9-6? So you might want to let me know a little bit further. Okay, so we have a 7, we have 5, we have 7, we have... Oh, so we have a question here. So let's start with this. Mine is 3, life cycle is 9, and they are twins. Does that mean we have the same sense of self?
Yes, that does. So when you say yours is 3, is that your sense of your inner self? Is your 3 your inner self? Yeah.
Yes.
And then your life cycle 9. Yes. So if you're born on the same day, unless you are split over midnight, so that does come into play. But if you were on the exact same day, then you will have the same sense of self. And what's really interesting, and this can go deeper, is the code looks at synergies between partnerships, siblings, families. And so each family carries its own consciousness too. So it's very fascinating. Some families are fighters and they're always bickering and arguing, and some families are harmonious and it's wonderful and beautiful. So each family, each relationship, each partnership carries its own consciousness. So even between yourself and your twin, you'll be the mirror, and your synergy it would actually be harmonious. There'll be a lot of bickering because your 3 fire is the show, intense, action, passion, get out there, fight. But your 6 fire is like, let's make up, let's sit at the fire, let's have a cup of hot chocolate, let's talk it out. And so you're working with those dynamics all the time. Very interesting.
So let us go into that life cycle number 9. That is, maybe you can give a hint, a brief hint. Yeah. Once again, everyone, this is a brief hint or a brief tips or tools for us to advance ourselves or enhance our life with the life cycle numbers. Yeah. So Nadine, life cycle number 9.
So if you're in a life cycle 9, you're right at the end of your cycle, right before you go. So you've had 9 years of a particular theme or story playing out in your life, and your 9 is now about your transformation and healing. Like, this is your opportunity to really see what the last 8 or 9 years have been about, transform what didn't work, heal the relationships that gave you the most challenge, and really start preparing in a way, because that transformation always takes you on a journey towards the end. It's like you always want to give up just before you reach the top, or you want to give up just before you turn the corner, right? That's when it's the hardest, because transformation and healing is not always easy. But you've got to know that you're preparing your platform for the next cycle. So a 9-year, you're probably not going to want to work a lot. I must be honest. You're probably going to want to play a little bit. You're going to want to like go here, go there, have lots of interests. So you might come across as a bit like scatty almost. Because remember, your 9 is made up of space. It's made up of that Akashic element. It's made up of spirit. It doesn't have a physical element to tie you down. And so that's the perfect place to heal. So your transformation and healing actually works in your consciousness, because it's got to either clear the last 9 years of stuff and prepare you for what's coming next. So beautiful colors to support that are your indigo, your silvers, very etheric colors. So you might find yourself attracted to those colors, or wearing them, or buying something made out of metal for your home to support you. All of these complex layers come in a life cycle 9.
All right, so we have a 5 over here. So let us go into the 5, life cycle 5.
Okay, so your 5, look, we say stress and movement and information. So your 5 is a air element. So we know an air element, there's lots happening in your head, in your mind. You possibly have lots of plans, lots of travel plans. 5 is a good year to travel. You just have to be sure that it grounds, because you might have lots of plans and none of them work, because everything's happening in the air. Everything is up in the air in a 5-year. You might be forced to move, find a new home, find a new job. That's where the stress comes in. A 5 air brings in sometimes anxiety. So perhaps you're feeling a little bit anxious as well. So it can make you feel a bit unsettled, ungrounded, anxious. It's all normal. You're working with, so to work with that energy, really breathe, use the air element through breath. Bring yourself down, calm the anxiety down about the stress that a 5 can bring. So it also brings opportunities to network. 5 is very good for networking. Go to where you're invited, go to parties, take opportunities, and get information. Get the right information. Talk to a lot of people. If you are planning on doing something new, talk to people who've done it before and use it to plan, network, and enjoy. If there's travel, and enjoy the movement of it. Enjoy, because you've just come out of a 4 where you probably felt a bit stuck. And so things are flowing again. It's good to use the flow of a 5. Don't worry too much about the anxiety and the uncertainty. It's all part of it.
Well, I hope for those who are in the 5, you remember to breathe more, yeah? And let's see over here. Let's go for vacation. That was for the life cycle number 9. Yes, goal attracts her this year. We also have a 7, and let's go to 7 right now. Life cycle 7.
Okay, so your 7 gives you also a chance to breathe, but in a deeper way. So your 7 cycle is water. So think of the ocean. You need to go deep, introspection, reflection, and questioning. That's what this year is about for you. It's about taking a step back, saying, what has happened in the past 6 years? If it's worked for you, continue. If not, really contemplate how you're going to move forward. Contemplate what's going on around you. Question things, question your beliefs, question people, just question. So meditation and journaling will be really good in a cycle 7 for you. Taking a step back. It doesn't mean you're not going to go out and you're going to, isolate forever. Go to the party, but just know you're going to feel a little bit drained. You're probably going to want to leave early, and that's okay. So just take yourself out into that middle of that ocean, and really there's deep wisdom and deep knowledge that reveals itself in the 7 cycle for you. Swimming is also very good, or go sit by water, lakes, rivers, surround yourself with that type of environment, because you're going to move next year into a cycle where once again it comes back into manifesting. So your 7 is also your creation, instead of the seeing the manifestation straight away. Next year, you'll see the manifestation of what you create this year.
So for those who have just joined us, once again, this is not the conventional numerology. We have shared out the formula earlier. If you have missed the formula, you can always revisit our live talk after we have concluded later. So we're just going to go on with another one that's over here. Alan is having a 6 for his life cycle. So let's go to life cycle number 6.
Okay, so Ellen, so you, because you have that inner sense, that inner self as a 9, you're always going to be kind of in harmony with the collective consciousness. Sometimes it makes it a bit easier. Sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. You know, like I just say, sometimes there are years that we're allergic to. You know, they just don't work for us. But we always can turn that around, right? So this year for you, you have to start finding the harmony and balance once again. You are probably, I see like the carpet was pulled out from under you last year, possibly. There was something that just, you know, you didn't expect it. There was something sudden. And so this year is about finding your feet again, using that harmony and balance, connect with people this year, reconnect. This is very important to reconnect because like I said, the reactive side is your conflict, your struggle where there's been some misunderstanding. Try reconnect and balance that again. I would say, like I've told beautiful Christina, the pinks work really well. Bring some warmth into your space. It doesn't have to be you're going to go buy like a pink pom-pom, but whatever you can, just bring some warmth back into your space, into your heart space. And it's about negotiating this year. So the 6 is a very good negotiator. So when you're talking, it's okay to just negotiate a lot. That's just what's coming out for your 6 this year.
So for those who are on the life cycle number 6, I hope you've gotten it. Yeah, just surround yourself with a little bit of the pink and use that as one of the colors to support you. We have Johnny over here, and he realized he's actually number 8. Johnny, it's okay. I haven't pulled out that number yet. No wonder my heart just keeps saying, put Johnny the last, put Johnny the last. Okay, so here we are. We go to the life cycle number 8. And Nadine, what is your say for life cycle number 8?
So Johnny, you're coming towards the end of your cycle as well, just before you hit that 9. So your 8 is about achievements, acknowledgements, and closure. And so whether it's been in business or relationships, you're going to see things come to fruition. If you've been working really hard, this is the year when you're going to be promoted or acknowledged or validated, or just do it for yourself. You know, sometimes we wait for that external validation. Really look how far you've come. Your 8 is about looking how far you've come. And it's a year for also tying up loose ends. If stuff hasn't been working, let it go. This is the year now. You've had this whole cycle. It's now time to really find closure and completion on certain things, even if it's on relationships, whatever it is. This is the year to start tying things up so that you can use the platform of your 9 and 1 going forward. So your deep greens, it will be really great for you to get into a forest, a jungle, a meadow, just sit on a patch of grass. And again, you could still use that contemplation and just the acknowledgement of how far you have come, what you have learned, the lessons, and just decide. This is a year for big decisions. 8 is when you also start making decisions. About what you're going to let go of and about what you're going to create for the future.
And it's interesting, you know, I remember Johnny was sharing with me yesterday during our TGIF Friday, and he was like saying, you know what, I went to nature and I sat there, I feel so peace. Yeah, so Johnny, nothing is coincidence. That's your life cycle. Go with deep greens, go with earth. Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. And hold on, let me see. I have mine is life cycle number 4. And what is your say with that?
So your life cycle 4, you're kind of halfway through your cycle of 9, right? So you're in a year of challenges, change, and growth. So this year, you could feel challenged. You could find that your perceptions about certain things, your beliefs about certain things are changing. Just like we had a silly example, like your belief about the color pink, things are,
Yes.
yeah, things are subtly changing for you, even if it's something small like that.
I don't
Your
know.
full,
Let me just share with the audience
uh,
how these weird things happen. I'm never a pink person. I've never been a pink person. I don't really like pink in my past, but somehow this year, earlier of the Chinese New Year, we have to buy new clothes. And in the past, I'll always buy red, yellow, anything that is loud. And this year, somehow, my heart just keep telling me buy pink, wear more pink, wear more softer tones. And then when Nadine was like sharing with us, like you will change your perception. Oh yeah, like suddenly I'm wearing this kind of colors. So yeah, please continue for
yeah.
the life cycle number 4, challenges, change, and
And
growth.
growth. So your pink, remember, will also tie back into your green, your heart chakra, and your pink is also your fire year, your sixth. So you're beautifully in tune with what's going on out there. But you will need to research. So research a lot, investigate a lot. Um, it's not so much questioning, because it's a different kind of consciousness. So it's investigating things that you have been interested in, because you're still in a process of creation in your 4 year. It's an earth year, so things might seem a bit slow for you. I know you like things a little bit quicker to manifest, but be patient with it. So if you know that things are going to take a little time, because next year you move into the 5, where there's lots of movement, lots of exciting things coming, then this year build the foundation in your earth year, in your 4 year. It's very good to research,
Mm,
build your plan, and fours bring vision for your future, because so you're creating now so you can manifest into the next cycle. So 4
that's
is
good.
your vision. Start visioning what you want to manifest in the coming 2, 3, 4 years.
All right. So for those who are in the life cycle number 4, as me, start to do that as well. At the same time, we have questions over here. How to calculate when the birthday is a 2-digit, for example, 29. So it's 11. Do we break it down into 1? Yes, you need to. Is that correct?
Yes,
Right? We have to break it
yes,
down into 1, right?
yes,
Yeah. So it definitely your birth. The number is 2 for this Shire.
correct.
Okay. So let me see what else that we have. I think more or less those who have shout out on the comment segment has been shared. But I have a question for Nadine before we move on to, I think we have not talked about life cycle number 1, life cycle number
Mm-hmm,
2, life cycle 3. And I think these
correct.
3 has not been talked about. But before that, Nadine, how can all this numbers or life cycle that you have shared with us, whether it's the theme where you have earth, you have air, you have fire, and also the colors, how does all these things will be able to help us in our creation?
So I think the easiest example is if you think of doing a vision board, right? When you do a
Mhm.
vision board, you bring in lots of elements, don't you? Well, it's basically, depending if you do it on the laptop or you go and you cut out pictures, you really need, the consciousness likes to be creative. It's a creative life force in us. And so we need, as physical beings, we need to see color, uh, objects, shapes, sizes. Like it's when you go to a buffet at a restaurant, if they just have one little cake there, it's not too exciting. But if there's a feast and cookies and cupcakes and jelly tots and all sorts of things on the table, you get really excited. And so our consciousness, our soul, our being gets excited when there are this many layers. And it's just up to us to go deeper and like figure out the layers. And that's why bringing in the color, bringing in the elements, bringing in, which we haven't done yet, but they're also geometric shapes. All of these support us to create with flow instead of trying
Mm.
to manifest through hardship. We really want to create with flow. And once we align with our chart, with our numbers, with our essence, then the road is just open for us.
And that is quite interesting because you know what, Nadine, I wish to share with you, like I said earlier on, right, I'm not a pink person. I never resonate with pink, and somehow this year I just wanted wear pink. Somehow when I am in this, which is my cycle, and as well as, you know, nurturing that feminine, things flow better. I'm
Yeah.
no longer, I feel like I'm not going against it. It's more of a flow. It kind of softened me. So that's how I believe that's how color play a part in our life as well. Before I go to Alan's questions, and I feel just to let you quickly go through life cycle number 1 as well, and 2
Sure.
and 3.
Let's do that quickly for your viewers. So, number one is, it's so obvious, it's your new beginnings, your ideas, and it's very empowering. Whenever you start a project, we always feel so excited, or when we buy new clothes, the first time we put it on, it gives us a sense of feeling good. And so, your one is your new beginnings. It's also air, so lots of ideas will come to you. Get them all out there, create. It's like planting your seed. And then as your years go on through to your 9, you're going to see what grows and what doesn't. So your 1 is plant all the new seeds that you can. It's fresh start for you. And tap into that energy. Really just go with the enthusiasm that it's going to bring you.
All right, let's go to life cycle 2.
Life cycle 2, now you've planted your seeds. Now it takes a little bit of hard work, and that's where you have to become a bit more responsible in a life cycle 2. It's a bit challenging. Your 2 is your water. It's also an emotional element that comes up in your 2s. Building something is hard. Getting things taking off from the ground up is hard. Your 2 will also bring in work on your relationships and your home life. So if you're in a cycle 2, connect with the people around you, express your emotions as much as you can, and don't shirk the hard work. The hard work, the building is going to pay off. Your 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're creating. It's your creation. It's your feminine. When you tip over 5, 6, 7, 8, you're going into your manifesting years.
Wow, interesting. And last but not least, life cycle 3.
Not least, life cycle 3. This one can be challenging for a lot of people. It's your fire element, it's your action, your goals, your intensity. This is a really good year to get your fitness. You know, if you're sitting there and always threatening to go to the gym, this is the year. If you're in a life cycle 3, get active, get physical, go for a walk. You know, you can still write, sing, get it out there. You got to express actively and physically, and this is the year when you can really focus and create and manifest your goals. Just be careful in a 3-year not to burn out. The 3 fire is that it's that passion. Things can happen quickly, but it can burn out very fast too. So that's just a little thing for your 3s.
So I hope everyone have gotten it, and for those who are live with us, or even, you know, if you are watching back and your numbers so happen falls into life cycle number 3, we hope that all this will give you some sort of like inspiration and some clarity. Again, this is based on not the conventional numerology. I have to mention it again, so that you have to follow a set of formula which we have shared it earlier. I'm just going to bring up this question because it's quite interesting for Nadine to answer. Why didn't we share on the self, and why did we focus on the life cycle? I think Nadine did kind of let us know why she prefer to share the life cycle number that go with the global consciousness. Nadine, what is your say about this?
So Alan, I just feel like I was saying, it's so complex. You know, your 1 is not just a 1. It's not just one sentence. And so when we get to looking at your core self, I'd really much rather sit with the person and actually take the time with them than put it out there. Because one thing is, this isn't a label. So, you know, I don't want to box people like you're just a 1. It's so important that people know there's so much more to the numbers. Like I said, you have to tap into the consciousness, not the label. So
Mm.
that's why I rather focus on this is kind of what your year is about, not this is what you are about. You can't possibly go there in a few minutes with someone. And so I hope that helps, and reach out if you'd love to know more. I mean, I'm here waiting.
Yes, so when I saw that question, I'm like, okay, this is a very good question from the crowd, that a lot of people wanted to know about themselves rather than what they
Mm,
are going through, they are more curious about themselves, like what you have been
of
encouraging,
course.
we should know ourselves, which we agree. But to know that, Nadine needs a little bit more time, and it's better to be one-to-one to truly understand you. And Nadine, time has passes so fast, I know you've been trying to talk really fast. I'm like, okay, you can go slow. We can overrun a little bit, but it's okay. We managed to share the entire life cycle from 1 to 9. At least all of us know a little bit, with a little bit of clarity and some tips from Nadine, how we can pivot it through whatever life cycle that we are going on right now. It can be a very good, or it can be a little challenging, but it's not something that we cannot cross. Life is still beautiful after all. Nadine, what will be your last shout out to everyone when it comes to creation and numerology?
I think the key message today, Christina, is I think it's so vital we remember to choose compassion instead of conflict, to make peace our priority this year, our peace of mind, our peace of heart, make it a priority, and just continue to evolve, to grow, and to elevate. Just continue on the journey. It's so beautiful and complex. And just honor yourself in whatever cycle you are in. It is important.
Wow, and that is such a great reminder, and that is what we all needed. And if for those who truly want to know further, you can definitely reach out to Nadine either via her email, as we published over here, or you can reach out to her Facebook page, which is Global Gypsy Event, that I'm sure we are going to share it out later. Or you can, yes, our admin has already shared it out on the comment. You can actually copy and paste and write to Nadine directly. Book a session with her if you want to understand a little bit further how this interesting human pin code that was actually founded by Douglas Forbes. And it's a scientific method of analyzing our personality as imprinted on our day of birth. And with that, I would say, Nadine, thank you very much for taking your time, sharing with us all these things and answering all the questions from the floor. And I hope, whoever that have any question further, you can also type it in. We will try our best to get Nadine to answer it after the live talk. With that, I'll say thank you, Nadine, once again. And you know what?
Thank
Have a
you.
great afternoon over there. Have a great afternoon and have a great weekend. Goodbye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.